Welcome back to the village. For the last 4 episodes, we've been working on this witch up perimeter crater, but I think you and I both need a break. But we're not going too far, as I want to start on the terrain next to the village. I'm sure most of you have seen this place, as at the time of recording, more than half of my subscribers have come from this video. 2 million views and counting, but I have done a little bit since then, and I think it's time to get even more done. I've had this photo as my desktop background for a really long time, and I do love the look of this village, but this area down here has been really bugging me. All this torch spam, whilst good for keeping mobs out, doesn't look very good. So that's what I'm going to work on today. I want to get all of this sorted and tie it in somehow to the perimeter. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, this is my quad witch up perimeter, which now goes all the way down to the new bedrock. And the idea is that this is a crater that's been formed by this meteorite in the middle that's crash landed, knocked all the ground up like this. So on the inside, it's all going to look like this eventually, once I get it all built. And it's all going to be fairly uniform on the inside. But on the outside, that is where all the variation is going to come in. So we've got this slope here, and my original idea was to have something like this going all the way around, so it just comes down. And I thought that would look alright, but it is a little bit boring. So what we can do is something a little bit more exciting with the landscape, and have it like this for some of it. In other areas, it can be much more shallow, like probably over there, going down towards the ocean. But over this area, where we've got some hills, I was thinking we'd have it a lot steeper, maybe have some like cliff faces with walkways on top. And then I think over here, I want to build a mountain and have this tie into it. I think that would work really well. So down here as well, we've got all this water, which it would be nice to have a river running down from the mountain and like through what we've got going on down here. And that is going to be some custom farmland. I love a bit of custom farmland, big wheat fields, and whatever else we can think of to plant down here. But the problem is, because this is a swamp, it's this dirty water. If it was this kind of water, I'd be alright with it. But all that over there is swamp, so I don't really want that water. So we probably won't do the river at this point. We may have it somewhere else. But definitely the terrain is going to be very interesting. And the Badlands around here doesn't really make sense. It's a bit jarring compared to the swamp and the mountains we got over here. And having a big mountain definitely is going to help with covering that up a bit. So I should probably start marking a few things out, shouldn't I? First though, we'll have a bit of a tidy up and make life a little bit easier. I've filled in all of this gross swamp water with dirt and grass blocks where the farmland's going to go. I have left the small pond near the gate, as this bit is in the plains biome, so it's not the dirty, horrible water. And I chopped down all of the trees, because there's absolutely loads of them, so I might as well grab them before they all get covered up. Then we moved around to the back of the village, near the existing mountains, and did the same thing there. So we got rid of all the swamp water, and it's quite a big area this. Also did a bit more shaping of the land at this side, raised it up a bit, and added some gentle slopes, but this is just a rough first pass, and will probably change quite a lot. And finally, again, chopped down most of the trees for a nice blank canvas. Then we can move on to marking out the basic hill shapes. So it started out with the shallow slope towards the ocean, but the square of the perimeter and the circle of the crater was throwing me off a little bit. So instead, I started marking out this side of the hills with stone, just getting a rough idea of how I want the base of these hills and cliffs to look. This doesn't have to be exact, and I'm sure I will change it as we get further along, but sometimes the most difficult part of a project like this is just getting started. It can be really daunting. The way I think anyway, I'm trying to picture the whole finished build in my head, and I just can't do it, and I don't think many people can. I know what I want to see, but I just can't picture it. So starting with a blank canvas is really scary, and just getting something down really helps, as you can start to see what you like and what you don't. Then just go back and forth until you're happy with it. The bigger mountains can be especially hard to visualise, but a tip I got from a whip video was to place pillars for peaks, which is what I'm doing here with the orange terracotta, and these can then be connected together with stone and a really handy reference point to aim at. Then we can start adding in the paths. And I want to keep the existing one, and this is purely for memories. I don't know if it's the ideal location to have it, but I definitely want to do something with this path down here, as this is the one I used to use to run back and forth in the early episodes before I had an elytra. I was constantly running from my village over to the swamp where I had all of my temporary farms. So yeah, this one has to stay. And before I get on with building the mountains, I've decided I want to have a path going up it. It might sound a bit strange, but I often find it's easier to mark out a path like this and build a mountain around it, rather than the other way around. So as the mountain is going to be built out of stone, it's better to use a block that you're not going to use in there. So I'm using cobble for this one, but you could use coarse dirt if it was something that was going along like a grassy area. But there's probably not going to be a lot of grass up here, because I want to try and avoid these horrible swamp colours. And there are going to be slabs here eventually for the steps, but for now we're just using full blocks, and we can come back and detail it properly later on. Okay, so we now have a very fancy cobblestone path going through the mountains. And when I say mountains, I mean pillars of orange terracotta. So yeah, very early stages, but this kind of gives us a feel of what we're going to be doing. Now, it's not going to be a one wide cobblestone path that we have to jump up. This will be a path that's textured with all kinds of stuff once we get it going, and it's going to be a lot wider. It's basically just to give me another reference point, just like I've got with these, where I need the stone placing for the mountain. So this bit, at this point, it could either go through the mountain, or it could go around like the edge of it, and we'll have like a steep cliff here. We could do a few different things, but as long as we have a path that makes sense, we can do whatever we want around it. So now, we need to get on with building up a little bit of stone, and actually starting on a cliff or a mountain. Let's pick a point and give it a go. Okay, so first one, let's do this little one here. I think this is the shortest pillar I've got, so it should be a fairly good example. So, what we're going to do, right, we'll have this reference point. We're now going to pick a point on this wall to build from. What we're not going to do is use this block right here, because it's directly in front of it. We want a fairly decent angle, and that is to make it look a lot more natural. Probably shouldn't go at direct 45-degree angle as well, so let's pick something like this. Second tip is, do not get your calculator out and try and work out how many blocks you need to go so it's a constant gradient. Don't do that. Just go up at random. So we're just going to start placing blocks. And don't worry too much if you're getting it exactly right. You just want to be going in basically the general direction. And as long as you do that, it's going to look fairly good. And then you can go back and refine it later. Don't worry about getting it exactly right. And it looks like here I'm going slightly too steep, which is fine. We'll just go slightly shallower for a little bit. You can maybe even change it out for dirt if you want to have this as like a cliff top, and then you could have a steeper bit later on going up into a mountain. But what we're going to do for now is have it fairly steep and then just go shallow towards this point here. Just something a little bit like this. And that looks pretty good, I think. So let's have a fly down and see what that looks like. Yep, I think that's a decent kind of shape. And that is basically what we're going to do with all these points. So we're going to pick up all these pillars, all the ones that are closest to the cliff anyway, and bring it down just like that. And then we can start connecting them up. And hopefully we should have a fairly decent looking mountain there. Now, some of these sections, I'm not going to go straight along to that, because that is just going to be really shallow. It's just going to look like a stone hill, and that's not going to look good. So what I'm going to do at this point here is go up between 5 and 10 blocks. I don't know exactly what. We'll just see how it looks. And that's just going to be like a cliff face. And then from there, we can have like a dirt section on top of that, like a cliff top. And then from there, we can go up, like I said, into these other pillars. I don't know what. Now I've looked at that one, I think it's probably a little bit too short. So, but as we said, it's just a marker, it's just an idea. We're discovering now that it's not quite right, so that's going to need to go up a little bit. But it's alright, we can do that, not a problem. Now, I've had plenty of stone on me, so I think these animals know what's going on. We're all getting very excited. It's time for a time lapse. Let's do it. Alright, so we made a ton of good progress there, and we will have a look at that in a second, but there's something I've been meaning to show for absolutely ages. So, where we are now, this is one of the first villages I discovered in episode 1, when I was first doing a little tour of the witch huts and all the villages that were around it. This is one of the first ones I found. But, this isn't as it was, because all the terrain around here, evidenced by this, because I generated this world in 1.15, and these didn't exist then, but all of this I've trimmed out. When I updated to 1.18, I trimmed all of the chunks around here that I hadn't really used, so we could get all of the new terrain generating, maybe get some of the new stuff, but also something very unexpected happened, which I discovered quite a while ago when I was chopping trees down here, and something happened that I wasn't expecting at all. Now, I don't think it's happening. There we go. I got mining fatigue, and that's because, for some reason, there is an ocean monument right next to my witch hut perimeter, which is very handy. I don't think I really need to use it, but, you know, it'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? I think I definitely want to use this for something. I already have a Crazy Guardian farm for the drops, but I could use this one as an XP farm. And because I also destroyed the ocean monument to create the other farm, I think I'd like to do something where I keep this intact. So yeah, definitely a project for another day. Definitely not for now. So let's go have a look at what we've been doing with these mountains. Right, so I did stick to the plan of trying to do different things all the way along. So over there, we've got very shallow slopes going up to the other side of this perimeter, and I haven't put too much effort in over there because this will come a lot further down into the sea, and I just don't know what I'm going to do with the land above there, so I've just left that fairly simple for now. Over here, it's more like a cliff where it goes up, and we've got these arches, and there is a reason for that, because there's a bit of an overhang, but what I think I want to do over here, I said I want to keep this path, and that is definitely still the case, and I think what we're going to do is dig this out, but can't do it now because I've got mining fatigue, and have a little cave in here. Now, I don't know what I'm going to use the cave for, really, but the main reason for doing it is so I can build a staircase here, because this here lines up exactly with my iron farm, and I don't really have a decent way of getting to my iron farm. What I actually have to do is fly through the sewer from inside the perimeter. Once we get all this filled in, that is going to be a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to have a staircase going down from here inside this cave. So that's the plan. Not for today. Again, that's just something else for the future. But the main thing I've been doing, after this cliff face bit, we have the crazy mountains. Now, it looks a bit mad at the moment, and I suppose when it gets filled in, it will as well. But it will look more like a mountain rather than just like a wireframe that I've got at the minute. So the main thing I did first was get this path done out of cobble, and I know it looks very simple at the moment, and we need some slabs or stairs so we can not jump all the way up. But despite that, I do like where this path's going, and I've got this winding around the mountains. I did say I might have it go through a cave, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think the way we've got these peaks either side of it, once we get them all filled in, that's going to look really good. And then it does just stop here because, you know, I didn't want to bite off more than I can chew. And this eventually is going to go down to this side of the perimeter where we're going to have some kind of like official access to maybe like a big gate that we can go through, and probably a bridge that goes across to the tower where the sorting system is. But again, something for another day. I have just noticed my elytra is definitely in need of repair. And I'm still gone. Nice. So having that garden XP farm would definitely be very handy. But anyway, let's not get distracted. So this is the crazy mountain. And yeah, I don't know if we can get a good view of it. I don't want to do any more flying because, yeah, my elytra is nearly gone. But this is going to look really cool once we get it all filled in. Now, when I was explaining it earlier, I did miss one thing out. And there we go, flying straight away. Stop it. One of the other golden rules of building mountains like this, custom terrain, is that you don't just have it sat on top of grass like this. A mountain in real life wouldn't just start out of the ground. There'd be something in front. So the grass, in particular, would slope up, something like this, which is why I've left this vertical wall here, because we're not going to see this. The mountain's really going to start as it starts sloping back. So anything where it's vertical like this, I am going to fill it in and have it slope down gently and merge into the existing terrain. I do have a few bits that I want to take down, so this bit here, I think I want to get rid of this and have it a little bit flatter, because remember, all this is going to be farmland. So yeah, little hills like this don't really make much sense. And then we do have another bit round here. Let's slowly walk along. Let's not fly. I was going to do it again. This bit over here is a little bit too flat, so I think I may need to raise this up. But then we do have this flat wall here, so this is going to slope down a little bit like that as well. So yeah, still got quite a lot to do even before I start on these things. So yeah, let's just put that away for now, because I need to go sort my elytra out. Unless, do I have a spare in here? Let's be lazy about... No, I haven't, have I? Alright. Anyway, I'm going to get myself sorted, grab a few more materials, and we can get on with doing a little bit more of this mountain. This might take a while. Okay, so there it is, 12 hours later, and this is where we are, and I am so happy with this. Looks way better than I ever pictured it, and we got an absolute ton of work done. So, firstly, it was smoothing out this land over here, and we still have the horrible swamp colours, because I intend to put some farmland down here, but not doing that yet, because, you know, this was a bit crazy. And the main thing I really wanted to get done was all of this bit along the edge of the perimeter. So now when we're in the village, any of the tall buildings in there, we can't see what's going on inside the perimeter, which is exactly what I wanted. And having this wrapped around the village just looks really good. I like it a lot. And then from this fairly modest cliff face, we're on to this crazy thing over here. So I've got this path in coming off this one. We are keeping this path in going into that cave, which we'll have a look at in a second. But I've done a little bit of texturing along here. We're going to have bushes and other things along here, separating it from the farmland. But then I've also been putting in the steps up here as well. So I've done a lot of texturing up here. A little bit of moss and coarse there up the sides. So we can have a little bit of a break from all the greyness. And yeah, this just looks really good. You wind around this, just looking up constantly. And I'll let you into a little bit of a secret. Yeah, I didn't finish the back of this bit because, you know, you can't see from down there. And I wasn't sure at first what to do with these dirt patches. I have left one there, but a lot of them I've gone for the same kind of mix that we've got down in the perimeter. So it's mainly coarse dirt and the moss. I went for the moss just to break up this grass colour a bit. I did leave some of the grass in over there, and I think having a little bits of it mixed in works quite well. So I probably should have done a little bit more up here, but, you know, we can tweak things. And then if we have a look around the back of here, similar story. So yeah, this is what it looks like around the back. Definitely not finished, got a lot more to do. Gonna expand this a lot further, and this is gonna go down over the Badlands. We'll do a lot of texturing over there so we can tie it in. But one of the best things about building up custom terrain like this is you get to have all of this down below just to dig out. So if I ever need dirt or stone, I can come down here, and I have been doing that, as you can see, because I've used a lot up here. So now I don't need a dedicated area in my world for digging stuff out. What I can do now is come to an area that I use a lot, but just go beneath the land and dig out what's there, which is great. The one tip I will give you though is make sure you light these areas up, because yeah, these are just complete mob farms if you don't do that. But as you can see, I'm smart, I've done it. So if we have a look from the Hobbit Hills farming area, you'll see, yeah, we can see the side of this mountain. And the reason for that is, I'm not finished yet. I want to continue this all the way around here, because I've got this river going through this way, and as it goes around there, I want this mountain to be out the other side of it. So yeah, this huge area here, I'm going to continue doing some crazy build like this. But, you know, 12 hours just to do that section over there, yeah, that's a lot of work. I'm not doing it all today. And it wouldn't be one of my mega time lapses if I didn't procrastinate in the middle of it and start doing other stuff. But you know what, this time, it wasn't my fault. Honest. For some reason, when I started to record, I stepped away from my computer for a moment, and I just left it there and completely forgot I was logged in. And because we're in the middle of a swamp, a slime spawned and came right at me, which wasn't great. But the worst part about it was, the last time I slept for some reason was in this bed here at my iron farm, which is in the sewer. And I may have mentioned it earlier, but I don't have a way up from here without flying. I have to fly out from the sewer. I have a way down, which is behind one of the houses in the village, but I don't have a way out. Or I didn't anyway. So this is one of the things I've had to do, because getting out of here was a bit of a problem, because I didn't have an elytra, didn't have one in my ender chest. So I had to come along here, which I can't remember where the thing is now, but yeah, this tunnel's a lot longer than it was. I've been doing a bit of messing about. Yeah, this was the drop down, and there was a wall here. So what I had to do was pillar up there with some blocks that I found in those chests, got myself out, and then I redid all of this. But what I've done is I've dug this tunnel along here, and I've been doing a little bit of decorating, put a little bit of the moss in, but then I remembered I wasn't supposed to be doing this, so I haven't fully done this yet. I need to work on the lighting, don't want all these torches. And what I've done is I put a bubble elevator in that goes into the village. I will be extending this a bit further that way, but for now we've just left it here, and this is in a horrible position, so I think I'm going to move this over there somewhere. But I'll show you where we go up. This just goes into the middle of the village. And what I'm planning on doing is having a well built around this. But as I say, I'm probably going to move it over here, because I think this makes more sense. And yeah, I'll do something else over here. But yeah, basically we now have a way up from the iron farm, just in case anything bad happens. But we got past that and got it all done. And speaking of this little cave, I'll show you what I've got going on here. This is my little storage area, and definitely not over top of the sea lanterns, but there's not going to be anything spawning in here. So this is just all the stuff I've been using for building this thing. And then over here, I've started marking out where this staircase is going to go. Now, I probably won't keep it like this. It'll probably be a little bit more natural and have more of a curve to it, with some slabs rather than like a right-angled staircase like this. But we'll see. I may do something like this. And then through here, I've just dug a tunnel down to the iron farm. And this is centered in the middle of it. And yeah, this needs decorating. But what I think I'm going to do is have something like this going all the way around, like a walkway going all around. A little bit like I did in Ramble Season 1, if you saw that. And then from here, we're going to need another staircase going down into where the sewer is and where like the storage area is for all the iron. So that way, we don't have to rely on flying down there. So yeah, this is an ongoing project. Not doing anything more on this today. So yeah, the farmland is the thing that is going to remove all these torches. I did say at the beginning of the episode, my goal was to get rid of all these, but I haven't done that yet. And, you know, you can forgive me that, can't you? But next time, we're going to get on with doing a bit of the farmland, but it's not going to be what I originally thought. I was going to do, like, traditional crops and stuff, but I've had another idea that ties in a bit better with the theme of this village, which, if you don't remember, it's honey blocks. But for now, I think I'm going to have to leave it there, because, you know, this has been a crazy amount of work. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, next time is probably going to be another big one. We're going to get a lot of work done. So if you're interested in that, remember to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.